am actually not your father.
Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show VCQ, Monday morning, 25th of February, 1909 there. Sorry, that was a mistake.
1909.
1909.
Mick here, hello. I think we're both a bit broken after the weekend, aren't we?
It's been a big weekend.
Yeah. I went to the guitar show in Birmingham, which was blooming brilliant, actually. It was better than that one that we did in London, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, it was really good. In Bingley Hall in Birmingham. So to everyone who came up and said hello, hello again. It was great to meet you all. And yeah, it was really good fun.
Sorry I missed you. I couldn't be there.
I did have a little drinky.
Did you?
On the
On
Saturday
night?
Yeah, and it's broken me a bit. This is what happens with age, people. So anyway, onwards.
Yes. Okay, so we had a couple of videos went out this week. We had the mini pedals, what was that on Friday, and a pick and mix on Tuesday that also included the True Spring.
Oh yeah,
amongst others. There was just a question about the True Spring that I thought I would.
Cool. There's a few actually.
Yeah.
Or there were. Mm-hmm. Anyway. Okay. Michelangelo Arbon, Eddie Rocks 5150. No guessing. The kind of thing you like to do. Eddie Rocks 5150, Stratcat 71, U2, Indo Kids, String Theory, Tech Metal Rules, and James Ray's.
And a bunch of others.
Yeah, loads and loads and loads. I love this video just because of the intro.
and to that end, Steve L said, if you don't think that Mini Dan and Mini Mick were the cutest thing ever, then the terrorists win.
G'day, guys.
So Mini
And
Mick was
that
Dan's son, Zach, and Mini Dan was Zach's best mate, Louis.
That's correct.
Yeah. And a great job they did too. They'd rehearsed it, they'd rehearsed their lines, and they came in and pros.
They were so excited. I was actually in London with Louis and the family on the weekend when on Friday, because it was holiday last week.
Yeah.
And the boys are there waiting for it to go live. It was so cute.
Hilarious. No, they did a great job. Olivia Colman, Congratulations to Olivia Colman.
Yes.
Who won a very deserved Oscar last night.
Yeah. She's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful human she is.
But commiserations to Glenn Close.
Oh, really?
7 times she's been nominated and hasn't won yet.
Oh, no. So, she should be Scottish. So close. We were 21-0 up at half-time, and they scored 22 goals in the last 5 minutes. We were so close. Sorry, that was just a potted history of Scottish football there, for anyone who's interested.
Okay. From now, what? This is again for the mini pedals. Once again, you made a topic that didn't sound super interesting into a fascinating video. He did go on to say some very nice things, but I just thought that was worth saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the way with TPS, isn't it? You think it's not that interesting, but it's the grey areas. It's the journey that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we'll come on to this, but anyway. Mm-hmm. Favale and Gibkel. Maybe it's just my ears, but I found that the bigger versions of every pedal sounded more fuller, and the tiny version had a bit more treble.
I thought this was really interesting.
Did you think
this
that?
comment? Not necessarily.
No.
But there is.
It was true of the Tube Screamer.
Yeah, the Tube Screamer, but that's down to the design and everything. There is,
and the NRG had more gain in the big one.
Yeah.
So it could be that the treble was just poking through more because it wasn't compressing as much.
Yes. Apparently there's a soft switch on the big one that makes it more like the small one. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. But it's interesting that a couple of people had thought, well, the smaller one sounded smaller. And I was just wondering, is that a visual thing because they're looking at it?
Yeah. You know? It's all in your mind, isn't it? Just a very quick tangent on that. For anyone who says, it's all in your mind, it is all in your mind. You hear with your eyes. No, you don't. You hear with your brain. Your ears just does the job of hearing, and your brain decodes it all with the little electronic messages, or electric messages anyway. So everything is all in your head.
Yeah.
Just in case we were in any doubt about that.
Yeah. But what we're saying is what's in your head is really important.
It is all in your head.
That's right.
It is all in your head. Like if I move my leg like this, right, that's coming from here. Muscles are doing the work, but the brain is telling it what to do. See, I should have been a doctor, right?
You should have.
I have to congratulate you on this. Joe Pearson and Gary Steed or it might be Gary Stead, but Gary Steed picked up on the fact you had block capitals for the big pedals and lowercase for the small pedals. I did have a little chuckle to myself, Dan. Congratulations.
No, thank you very much. It was. You didn't believe how long As soon as I knew we were doing this episode, I started seeing how the board would look and think, I know what we're going to do with the labelling. So,
it was funny. And Leighton Powers, Andrew Tixon and Ted Eyre picked up on that as well. So,
Daniel Roberts. The biggest problem with the mini form factor is that the pedal is too short to span the space between the slats in a pedal train pedal board. That's really interesting.
Dan and I have been talking about this for so long. There is no pedal board on the market that optimally allows you to place pedals, with the possible exception of Schmidt-Ray, and anything that's completely flat, which gives you the. But yeah, I love pedal trains and I use them all the time. But you've got two choices, haven't you? They have to go on two rails, so there's no way around that.
Yeah. So and then you have this big gap either above and below. Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting point.
Scott Coombs, Ingo Herman, and Joe Peasy for Sheezy. Joe Peasy for Sheezy. Don't think you slipped a Helicaster's lick past us, Mick. No, I was obsessed with them. Years ago. Yeah, and I got to meet them all. John Jorgensen, Will Ray, and Jerry Donahue.
Oh, man.
And I actually hung out with John Jorgensen a bit.
Really?
What a dude he is. Yeah, what a really cool geezer he is.
Wow.
Fantastic player, and then he did all his Jagged Reinhardt stuff and all of that. But yeah, Helicasters. Don't know who the Helicasters are. They three back along, and they played face melting.
Telecaster.
Yeah, and G&L
Schwangtastic.
Schwangtastic stuff.
Right.
And I think that was, maybe was it called Will's Boogie? Can't remember. Anyway, the lick is.
Nice. Yeah, man.
So it's a really cool lick.
Very cool.
And I apologise if I played it wrong, but that's what it sounds like to me.
Groovy. Sphere says, you guys should revisit Phaser soon. You haven't touched on them specifically since the old channel, and it is the hashtag Year of the Phaser.
Yeah, why not?
Not the Julia, but the...
Yes, World War II pilot. Female World War II pilot.
From Walrus Effects. Lillian.
Yeah.
That's come out this year, and it's a really great phaser. So yeah, we'll do another phaser show.
There's some more. There are a couple of others coming out that I do happen to know about. So
really?
That seems to be likely that we will do that. CNC Tematic, who comments a lot on our videos. Thank you very much, CNC Tematic. I've always read it as cinematic before, but actually seeing it here printed out on the paper. So CNC Tematic, I wonder if you work in some sort of manufacturing business.
Yeah, that's a fair bet.
Yeah. Great show, guys. Question, do the pots matter? Something that always puts me off the mini pedals is those dinky little pots. They look so toy-like and fragile and unworthy of good guitar tone. Is there any truth to that?
No. There's no truth to that. They are fine. Electronically speaking, if you grab a couple of pots out of a Strat, right, just standard pots, and you measure them, the reality is they're probably going to be different, and there's a tolerance.
Yeah, you pay more. The ones I've just bought, I've paid 3 times as much for because they have an 8% tolerance,
right,
which is as low as you can get in a Strat pot.
Right. So and what you then do is you go and measure them all, and get the ones that work for that specific thing. Those sort of pots are no different, but it's just whether or not that pot lands exactly where you need that to be for the circuit. But as far as the pot doing its job, it's just a variable resistor, and so it does the job as well as any other pot.
And the old ones sound much better.
Well, arguably. Yeah, but it's in a pedal,
How many guitarists does it take to change a light bulb, Dan?
Tell me, Nick.
10. 1 to change the light bulb, and 9 to say the old one sounded better.
Fair enough. Very good. All that stuff does make a difference.
Yeah.
But it's all about the. And I should have said this at the start. It's all about the design.
Yeah.
As opposed to the sort of pot.
Yes. So is there any truth that little pots sound worse than big ones? No, according to you.
No.
Okay. There was lots of love for the Mesa Buggy.
Yeah. The Massa Bogey.
Massive bogies. Fillmore 50.
Yeah.
Which was a really cool amp that we had in. We were entirely remiss because we didn't use it enough when we had it early doors, but anyway, we managed to use it for quite a few shows at the end.
Yeah, so the interesting thing was when we first got it out of the box, brand spanking, and plugged it in, and to me it sounded a bit harsh, but then when I turned up on the day we were recording with it, the last day we had it for, and you had set up a loop going into it and just loosened things up, and then it just sort of, even just that little bit of playing through
Giving
it, and it just sort of came
hours.
alive.
Yeah.
That was the... And when I used that with the...
Soltec, was it?
No, it was the Supro in the delay video. And the Mesa Boogie just gave it this shimmer on the top. And man alive, what a great sound.
And what's interesting is when you go to the second and third channels, that shimmer goes away completely. It just becomes real thick, which...
Well, Mark,
it comes on to the next...
Sayer says,
so, sorry, before we get there, Tony M... Misael Cruz, John Levy, and Aaron Smithy and Sub Rosa all were talking about the Fillmore 50.
Yeah, Mark Sayer said, would you say that the Fillmore 50 is a mix between a Fender Deluxe Reverb and a Marshall 1974X? And I thought this was really interesting because it's a 6L6 amplifier, and even just physically, the dimensions, it looks very similar to a Deluxe, that clean channel. But the dirty channel had none of that sparkle, it was very grindy and very reminiscent of those Marshall ES tones.
Yeah, well, Mesa are really good at that. So yes, it will do those sort of mid-60s scoopy mids, nice sparkly, heavy reverb, deluxe reverb type sounds. But then when you go into the other channels, you can step across that Marshall territory really easily. And then, of course, the Mesa Boogie Mark series type overdrive, which is that mid-thick. Everyone talks about Carlos Santana, but it's way more than that. It's much wider than that, and not necessarily just that very vocal Santana kind of sound. So yeah, it's a really cool amp actually. And if you're not into using loads of pedals for your gain stages and you just want a simple amp that has 3 really nice stages of gain, replicated identically across 2 channels. Yeah,
lovely,
cool thing.
Lovely.
Nimble Wit, Curtis Young. I love the idea of mini pedals when they first hit, but in practice, they're really only good if you're using a loop controller.
Yeah, and a number of other people had mentioned this, and I thought it is very interesting because the thing that we discovered is with the smaller pedals, you put them all together, and it's really difficult to get at them with your feet. But if you are using some sort of a loop switcher, it does mean that you can, if you find a smaller pedal that works,
just pack it in.
You can pack it in.
Space saver. Yeah, I think perhaps the sort of grand statement generalizations aren't massively helpful. It's not should I use big pedals or little pedals. It's in what opportunity is there for me to use a little pedal that will save me either a bit of money, a bit of space. I think the example that came up was you don't use tremolo very much.
Yeah.
So the Trelicopter is perfect.
Perfect. And because it just goes on for a little part in a couple of songs in our set. And it's great. However, you use tremolo a lot more than I do.
I like the harmonic trem.
You like the harmonic trem,
and there's only one way to do that.
Exactly.
So there's no compromise there.
Exactly.
The only one way to do that is the Supro tremolo, by the way, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's got a transformer and it's all analog and it sounds like...
Rob C. Mick, this has been driving me crazy ever since I first started watching TPS. What is that chord you play at 41 minutes and 14 seconds in the show? I think you've played it in every show I've seen. Even Dan starts playing at 43:17.
It is actually my favourite chord. Is it this chord?
Yes.
So I'll often play it on if you go from an A minor. So what is the chord, Dan?
So
you probably wouldn't play that A actually.
So it's basically It's an F add 9. You're playing the open A as well, though?
That's probably...
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's an F add 9. You're playing the open E as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. So right. Actually, okay.
So play a C major. Put your thumb on the bottom of the F. Take your middle finger off and put your little finger on the string underneath.
So the interesting thing about this chord is you have so it's an F chord, and then you have the add 9. You have the major 7 there, and then the 5th here. But you actually don't have a 3rd. So it's not a major or a minor.
So it's one of those.
It's just one of those.
Which is why I play it so much, because whenever I play an F, sometimes even if it's just a straight F, I might hit that and go, "Oh, yeah, that does or does not work in this context."
Sure, but if I'm going F minor. I know, because it's got the major 7.
Yeah.
So if F major 7. So yeah, that major 7 sort of denotes a major character, but there is no major 3rd in there.
Yeah.
So if it was major 3rd, you'd be looking at this, which just doesn't have the same thing as.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
But
Very
yeah,
cool.
it's a really nice chord. It's also in that in the songs that we recorded. So in All of Me, it's.
Very nice.
Yeah. Anyway, I do play that chord all the time.
Dan Sherwood says, I'm glad you guys shot this video. I've always wanted to buy the mini versions of some pedals, but was worried that they sacrificed something for the size. Do they typically lose their true bypass circuit or other features when transferring to the smaller designs? If you're not using a true bypass switcher, will the smaller pedals affect your signal more than normal?
We need to keep this answer short.
Yep.
Because we could talk for 2 hours
Yep.
on why you shouldn't see true bypass as necessarily a good thing.
Yes.
The irony, before Dan explains properly, is the mini tube screamer is true bypass.
Yes.
And the big one,
Isn't.
well,
And
a classic 808 tube screamer is not true bypass, but the mini one is. So.
Yeah. No, it comes down to the design of the pedals. It's you can't make a blanket statement like the smaller ones are sacrificing something.
It's literally like saying a Les Paul is better than a Strat.
Yeah.
Well, there are loads
sure.
of Les Paul fans who would say that all day long, every day. It's palpably not the case.
Yep.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
It's one is useful for one application and the other is useful for a different application.
Sure. And actually, leading on from that, Chris Coe asked about component size. This is, does the component size actually influence the sound that much? Being rather clueless about electronics, I wonder if the electrons move differently through a component of smaller size but identical layout and functionality. If they do, does it affect the sound more than component tolerance, which might be as much as 10%? And that's a really good question. But then I think directly after that, Steve Kirby, who's an engineer, comes on and says, the thing with surface mount, he says, and he's been involved in surface mount components since the 80s, is that by taking the leads off the components and coupling it directly to a circuit board, you remove variability. Also, series inductance, which is less of an issue at audio frequencies. Also, surface mount resistors are laser trimmed during manufacture, so they're more accurate. So, in actual fact, with surface mount components, the tolerances are generally better, and the outcome is more consistent. So, but it still comes back to the design. They are doing exactly the same job. A 150k resistor in surface mount does the same job as a 150k resistor in through hole. It is more about the design than the actual components.
Until you plug into a Dumble Overdrive Special.
Oh, look, absolutely.
Or the 2-Rock.
You know what I'm going to do?
Or something that is made with large components in loads of space.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a fuzz face circuit.
Okay.
Right? I'm going to build a fuzz face circuit with massive, all that stuff, and I'm going to build exactly the same circuit with the smallest surface mount components I can find, but I'm going to use the same transistors.
Okay, that'll be
right?
interesting.
and we're going to see what happens.
That will be interesting.
Yeah, cool.
Sebastian Bradilovich. Hey Dan and Mick, I've been practicing that E major 7 add 9 chord. That was Dan's crazy chord that I can't play either. Since Friday night, and I'm finally starting to get my hand around it. I would love it if you could show us all some more expensive chords. And Ben Chan adds to that, the amount of ridiculous chords Dan knows where you have drive your elbow into your crotch to play it is astounding. Where you have to drive your elbow into your crotch to play it.
Right.
That's that, isn't it?
I'm just going to quickly, for everyone that's been struggling to play that chord, so basically it's an E major, we add the 9th, and then we add the major 7th. Right, there's a really good way to get to that chord. If you play C diminished, right, so that's C diminished shape, and you just move these two fingers back a fret, that gets you there. But I have been thinking about doing, so yeah, C diminished.
I struggle to reach that.
You've got the biggest hands in the world.
Well, that doesn't mean I can play that chord. I wouldn't know what C diminished is from a blooming hole in the ground.
There you go, nailed it. So there has been a few questions about this, and I have been considering doing a vlog style on chord harmony. If you guys are at all interested in seeing that,
I'd like to watch that.
Let me know. Really?
Yeah.
If you want to see that, let me know, and I'll do it.
I've been doing an online course with Robin Ford from Truefire. Have a look at Truefire, by the way. They do great courses.
They really do.
Talking about the diatonic, harmonising the major scale and how that unlocks all music, basically. And It's been quite interesting.
Yeah. Menu's Music says, a great episode. I think there's enough material for a part 2.
There is.
MXR makes mini versions of the Phase 90, Dynacomp 108 Fuzz, EHX makes a Nanomuff, a Nanopog, and the Pigtronics Philosopher's Tone.
I think we should concentrate on reverbs, delays and mods.
Okay.
Because we've done enough drives.
Sure.
I think we've proved the drive thing, haven't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, to look at some more difficult circuits would be interesting.
Yeah. It's Snowblind says, in regards to the Moore radar pedal that I was talking about near the end, if you run a tube preamp... Robin Ford. I can honk him too, not that I should, but you've already honked him.
Yeah.
But I have met him ever so briefly, but because you've met them all, and I've got to get in there whenever I can. Yes, so in regards to the Moore radar, which is a tiny little IR loading thing. So Snowblind says, if you're just running if you're running your preamp into it for computer recording, aren't you missing out on any sort of tonal characteristics provided by a power amp? The reality is, I am not exactly sure how.
It's got modelled power amps in it if you want them. Okay,
it does.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at. I'm writing at the moment. I've been really inspired the last few weeks, and I've been getting together with Doug and just having up some ideas. So I'm looking at just some home recording things, because I don't necessarily want to bring all my gear into the house to set up to get pre-production done. I think the idea at the moment is, while we're in the songwriting phase, I'm looking at things that I can get some decent things to tape, and so we can just get these ideas down. So we'll be looking at the Moore thing. We've just got this new thing from Audient.
Looks really interesting.
It looks amazing.
It's a collaboration with two, or at least it has some 2-note stuff in it as well.
Yeah. So
it's an interface with a cab sim and all the rest of it.
Yeah. So I'm going to be looking at that stuff.
Nice. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Alan Ardon, please, can you talk about high gain with single coils?
I love this idea.
Yeah, what is there to talk about though?
Well, so what the difference between humbuckers and single coils? When you really high gain with humbuckers, often if you take a single coil guitar and plug it into the same rig, it starts squealing, and just because the humbuckers tend to keep the high gain thing under a much better amount of control. But I remember seeing old clips of Iron Maiden and hearing this really high gain sound and seeing him play a Strat, and thinking, man, that's amazing. Do you remember then all the in the 80s, a Hot Rail series from Seymour Duncan came out, putting the humbuckers in the Strat thing, and I just think it's a really interesting thing.
Let's do it. Yeah, I mean, I've never had any problem with it. As long as you've got, in a Strat, for example, as long as you've got the bridge pickup wired to this for your sort of medium high gain sounds, you can just knock it down a tiny bit.
We'll go through all this in the video.
Yeah, and then
that's great.
But then when it's all balls out, you need everything open and as loud as it can possibly be. Yeah. It just sounds awesome. Single coils are awesome with higher gain.
Excellent show as always. For the first time in a long time, I was able to sit down and watch this with a halfway decent pair of headphones on. My days, how that makes a huge difference in what I'm hearing.
That was from Just D1220.
Yes, Mick does the audio for the show and goes to great lengths to get the experience of what we're hearing here,
Which is impossible.
But everything that can be done, I think, is being done
without spending another 25 grand.
Yeah, so that you guys can experience it, as close as possible over YouTube. If you do have the opportunity to listen to the show with some decent headphones on, I think
please do.
Yeah, please do, because it is
what a lot of people don't realise is when you listen on a laptop or mobile phone, there's all sorts of processing that goes on when you do that, and there's various summing to mono and all kinds of things that change the sound quite radically. Plus, of course, that's even before we start talking about the physicality of the speaker in a mobile phone or a laptop. You just can't. You just can't hear it.
Yep.
And actually, a lot of people say, is the audio rubbish because it's over YouTube? Not actually. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's better
if you got to be watching it on HD, at least on HD.
Yeah, that used to make more difference than it does now, and I think it's constantly changing.
Right.
But yeah, the audio's not bad on YouTube actually at all, especially if you do what Dan does. Tomorrow, Tuesday, I've done a vlog on some of our miking stuff and how the mid-side room mics work.
Fascinating.
We get asked a lot of questions about that, so I've done a vlog on that and explained exactly how that works. So that'll be tomorrow at midday.
That's great.
My myself.
I think it's me and myself.
Oh, me and myself, yeah. Me and myself. Yeah, it should have been an E. But it's mine, myself. Me and myself. One thing for sure I have learned about this channel, any pedal can sound awesome in the right hands.
Yeah.
It's very kind of you to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to add to that, really.
It's just the point that, context is everything, and finding those things that connect with you. It goes back to everything, but always banging on about. But it's about that personal connection that you have with
and
the thing.
Changing the expectation. There's so much stuff that I watch and so many questions in guitar players' minds. This is the whole point of TPS, right? Is this pedal is going to give me this sound?
Yeah.
And it just isn't. It won't. No.
Right.
And then you read these forums and stuff, and everyone's going, "Oh, this pedal sounds XYZ, whatever, good, bad, great." It's totally different, isn't it? Depending on what you plug it into. So there is some truth in what you say. Any pedal can sound awesome in the right hands, but where the pedal sounds most awesome is when it's inspiring you to do the thing that you want to do.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, and finally, Vinyl Head says, "Hey guys, I love the show, but in the last month, I have the feeling that you don't have almost any fun together. I really miss the old Dan and his enthusiastic manners." Okay.
Have you been less enthusiastic?
I don't know. Have I? Man, I'd hate to think how it'd come across if I was more enthusiastic. I mean, that
would be quite scary.
Yeah.
Okay, well, sorry, Vinyl Head. We'll try and cheer up a bit.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, guys, have a fantastic week, and we will see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.